What's up guys, and welcome to my makeshift office here in my garage. Recently I installed some Quik-Latch hood pins on my car, and so far I'm absolutely loving them. If you're interested in the install video, it's in the cards as well as in the description, so be sure to check it out. But in this video, I wanted to focus on why I specifically like Quik-Latch hood pins over some of the others. And if you guys have been following me for a while, you know I always do my homework on all of my parts, and I seriously consider other options. So the last thing I want this video to be is an infomercial for Quik-Latch. I hate infomercials. I hate pushing products. But I think there are a lot of pros and cons to Quik-Latches as well as some other brands out there and styles, and I want to give you guys as much information as possible so you can make an informed decision when it comes to buying hood pins. If Quik-Latches are best for you, that's awesome, rock on. If they're not, then they're not. That's okay. I really don't care if you buy Quik-Latches or not. But with that being said, I have all my talking points right here, so if I'm looking at my notes more than the camera, I apologize, but there is a lot of material to go through, and I want to make sure that I cover all the key points that I have listed out. So there are three general types of hood pins on the market right now. The first type is the slide pin style, and you've probably seen these in the first and second Fast and Furious. They were huge in the early 2000s, and they're even common on some older muscle cars. And there are a bunch of variations to the slide pin style, but I put them under the same umbrella because they all function more or less the same. The second type is Aerocatch latches, which are also slide pin type hood pins. However, they are proprietary to Aerocatch, and they do function more or less the same, but they have an extra latch. So I put them into their own category because they are different than traditional slide pin hood pins. And thirdly are Quik-Latches, which are in a category completely of their own, and that is because they are a push button quick release style of latch, and there are no sliding pins that you have to worry about. The first pro of the slide pin style of hood pins is that they are cheap. Of course, it depends on what materials are used and what company is manufacturing them, but generally speaking, they tend to range from about $15 to $20 on the low end up to $45 to $50 on the higher end. And there are companies that charge way more than that because they have nicer pins. For example, HawkeyeSTiGuy has very nice CNC aluminum slide pin style hood pins, and those are well over $200. So it's not necessarily the cheapest type, but you can find the slide pins for very cheap if you just need some hood pins to work. Another pro is that they are very easy to install in that you just have to drill your hood. Some other designs like Aerocatch, you actually have to get a Dremel or a jigsaw and actually cut out an oval shape. With the slide pins, you don't have to do that. You're just drilling holes for the most part for most applications. Another advantage is they are offered in a lot of different colors. You can get silver, you can get red, blue, I think they even have black. So you do have a lot of options out there. That being said, it is 2017. Red hood pins on any car don't really look great anymore, but you do have the option to run different colors. So let's move over to some of the cons. And I hate to say it, but there's quite a lot of them. In fact, I think the slide pin style of hood pins have the most cons out of all three types of hood pins that I'm discussing today. First of all, there are extra steps to unlatch these hood pins. Because there's a pin that locks them in place, whenever you want to unlatch your hood, assuming you're using the factory latch, which I'm going to assume for all of these hood pins, that is recommended by the manufacturer, and usually hood pins are added in addition to the factory latch. So if you have that in place, to unlatch your hood, you have to first walk up to your car, unlatch the pins, slide them out of the way, then you walk over to your car, reach inside, release the hood release, then you walk back to the front of your car, you hit the hood latch, then you can release your hood. So that it adds an extra step to 2 steps, which kind of sucks. I mean, we're all car guys, so a lot of guys who run these style of hood pins aren't going to care. But for me, for my daily driver, it's not something that I was looking for. It's not something I was crazy about. That just kind of adds a lot of extra steps, and it's not my style. Another con is that some companies actually use steel hardware. So while your hood pin, the stud, and the scuff plate may be stainless, a lot of guys still run into issues with rust because the hardware itself is steel. And a lot of companies do put a coating on that steel, but once that wears off, those screws are gonna rust and it's gonna look like crap. Also, just by the way the slide pin style operate, they are much more likely to scratch or mar your paint, which isn't cool. As I said, they do look outdated. If it was 2001, it'd be awesome. It looks badass. You have hood pins. In 2017, it is not sleek, it is not low profile, it is not cool, and it just looks super cheap and super ricey, and I'm not a fan of that look at all. Again, if you want to rock them, rock on, but me personally, no thank you. Also, they have pretty limited mounting options, and they have to mount on a hood that is pretty much flat. It can't have any curves or anything like that, and it pretty much has to come down on the stud at a 90-degree angle or so. Not much more than that, because otherwise you're going to run into issues with binding. I'm pretty sure the Aerocatch style is a little bit more forgiving with that, and the Quik-Latches are much more forgiving, which I'll discuss when I actually get down to Quik-Latches. So those are the pros and cons I have for the slide pin style. There are quite a few pros. As you could tell, they are cheaper, yes, but there are a lot of cons to these style of hood pins, and too many cons for me to go with these for my car. The second style is the Aerocatch latches, which I looked at Aerocatch hood pins for years. Years and years and years. Before I was aware of Quik-Latch, I wanted Aerocatch latches for a long time. I watched Mighty Car Mods install them probably at least 3 or 4 times. I think it was on the S2000, if I remember correctly, if my memory's good. It's been a few years since I saw that video. I'm a pretty big fan of the Aerocatch latches. Out of these options, Aerocatch would be my number 2. Quik-Latch obviously is my number 1. But the Aerocatch latches do have some awesome pros, and they have a lot less cons than the slide pin style. So to kick off the pros for the Aerocatches, they are much more sleek than the slide pin style. If you've ever seen Aerocatches, they are way better. I'll just put up 2 pictures so you can see for yourself. There is a flush mount option available for the Aerocatches, which is really sick. But even their standard ones are still really awesome. They're still pretty low profile and are a lot better than the slide pins. Another great advantage is that they are higher quality than most slide pins that are out there. As I said, there are slide pins like Hotchkiss that are absolute top of the line, but most of them are not that good. They're somewhere in the middle. The Aerocatch is definitely up there. It's about $115 or so, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Some cheaper ones are $70, but they're up there. They're high quality, and I'm not going to knock them on that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Quik-Latch is the only one that puts out good latches. Aerocatches are pretty good too, but they may be good for you. They may not be. There are a few cons to the Aerocatches, although there are a lot less cons than there were with the slide pins. So first of all, there's a lot more cutting involved. I could honestly say that I almost had a heart attack when I was drilling into my hood. If you saw the video, it looked like it went very smooth, and it did, but I cut out about 5 minutes of me hyperventilating when I actually drilled through my hood. So I think drilling through your hood is stressful enough. That's a big enough risk to take. It's just stressful. I don't even know how else to put it. It's stressful. It's nerve-wracking. And there is a technique to it. I mean, you have to be very careful and drill it so that everything lines up. And if you think about it, your hood has 2 or 3 layers to it. And there's actually a couple inches between drilling. So it's not just like you mark the spot on the hood and then just drill through. There are a couple layers. So the more cutting and drilling that you have to do, the more likely there is a chance of you messing up. And that's not to scare anybody away from going with Aerocatch. I'm just saying you actually have to get like a Dremel tool and cut out an oval. And I do know that Aerocatch does include a template, which is awesome on their part. That's really cool. But the less cutting, the better, in my opinion. Another con to the Aerocatch style of hood pins is that they have a big footprint. And by that, I mean they take up a lot of space. I don't know the dimensions off the top of my head, but I'll post them if I find them. But they are oval, if you've seen them, and they do take up a lot of space. And there are 2 issues that I see with this. First of all is it can be harder to mount them on curvy hoods. I know a lot of other people with Hawkeyes run them without an issue, but I believe you have to put them in a certain orientation so that they don't conflict with the lines in the hood. So if you have a curvy hood, that's something to consider. If you have a flat hood, then that's one less thing you have to worry about, and rock on. The second issue with that is that, in my own personal opinion, it doesn't generally look good on most factory OEM style hoods. Even with my hood scoop, it's just a little bit too big for me. I feel that Aerocatch looks better with racing hoods, you know, vented, carbon fiber, fiberglass, crazy wraps, racing stripes, something else going on with the hood rather than just plain Jane factory OEM hoods. It's just a little bit too big for me. It's not my personal taste. If you know me, you know I like things that are low profile and sleek. And while the Aerocatches are low profile and they're sleek, I just am not a big fan of the large footprint that they have. Another con is the price. Generally speaking, it ranges from about $70 up to $130. And that depends on what type you get, whether it's a flush mount or the standard, whether it's a carbon fiber look or if it's a locking model. There's a lot of different factors that can affect the price. And so you're going to probably pay more for Aerocatch latches than you will with the slide pin style. That being said, I think there is a lot more R&D that goes into it. They're a little bit more complicated. So yes, it costs more, but yes, you're also getting more hood pin and higher quality in my own opinion. So I will give them that. They are made out of a composite material. I don't know if it's plastic or if it's like some type of FRP material, but it is a composite, which I guess you could say is good. I'm sure it's durable, but it's not aluminum. So there's that. I don't know how it's going to hold up or fade or warp or bend or anything like that. I don't know if that's going to be an issue. I'm not saying it is. I'm just mentioning it. And lastly, the other con that I have is it's only available in black and carbon fiber look. The carbon fiber look is, I think it's hydro dipped, so it's not actual carbon fiber. I don't think that's a big issue. And your other option is standard black plastic. So if you're looking for some other color, I guess you could paint it or maybe dye it. But as it comes from Aerocatch, those are your only two options. With that being said, we are finally at Quik-Latch, which I am very excited about because unlike these other ones, in my own personal opinion, Quik-Latch has a lot more pros than it does cons, and it has a lot more pros than both the Aerocatches and the slide pin style. So, first of all, they have a lifetime warranty against corrosion, which is huge. And there may be some other companies that also offer something similar, but I really like that assurance that 5-10 years down the road, if for some reason I have some corrosion issue or anything like that, I could send it into them and get it taken care of. Quik-Latch also has two different styles of hood pins. I'm going to be specifically speaking to the QL38s because those are what I installed in my car. But if you are interested, they do have QL50s, which are bigger. The flange is 2.5 inches in diameter as opposed to 1.75 inches, which I have. And the QL50s are available in gray, black, and polished. That's all I'm going to say about the QL50s. Everything else from now on is the QL38s, which, like I said, is 1 3/4 inches in diameter. So it's a little bit more small and sleek and low profile, which is awesome. And this is available in polished, machined aluminum, black Cerakote, which is what I went with. I have the black accents on my car, so I wanted the black Cerakoted latches, and I think they look great. There are lockable options for both the QL38 and the QL50s, but you are going to pay a little bit more for those because they are lockable. That's just how the market works. Another pro to the Quik-Latch design, which is a huge, huge reason why I went with Quik-Latches over Aerocatches, is because there are no added steps to unlatching your hood. So I forgot to mention this when I was on Aerocatch, but Aerocatch is like the slide pin style where you do have the additional steps. You have to go up to the front of your car, unlatch the hood pins, walk over to your hood release, pull your hood release, walk back to the front of your car, then you could release your actual factory latch and lift your hood. With the Quik-Latch design, all you have to do is you go over to your hood release, you pull it as you normally would, then you walk to the front of your car, and to lift your hood, you push in the push buttons on the Quik-Latches, which will raise it, then you slide off your factory latch and lift your hood. So it cuts out like 2 extra steps, which is awesome. I'm a huge fan of that, and I love that it functions like factory would. There's also less cutting than Aerocatch. With the Quik-Latches, all you're doing is drilling. I believe it's a 1 1/4 inch hole that you have to drill down from the top, and there's a 2.5 inch hole up just through the bottom part of the hood. Yes, it's very nerve-wracking drilling into your hood, but it's still less nerve-wracking, I think, than Aerocatch, where you have to Dremel and get a jigsaw or something crazy and you're cutting ovals out of your hood. So with the Quik-Latch, you don't have to worry about orienting them or anything like that. You're just drilling simple holes, and all of that is covered in the instructions, which is top notch. So good on Quik-Latch for providing easy to follow instructions. They were easy to follow and I greatly appreciate that. Also, there is up to 18 degrees of angle, which is another huge reason why I prefer Quik-Latches. So the slide pin style and the Aerocatch style, as I said, both are kind of picky on where you mount them. You have to mount them in a certain orientation, and there can't be very much, you basically have to mount them at a 90-degree angle or very, very close to it. Otherwise, the pin won't be able to slide through the threaded stud. The Quik-Latches are actually, they have a cup in the bottom, and because they're a push button style, there's just a little ball head that pops in, and you have up to 18 degrees of rotation in any direction, or I should say, can't. You can tilt it 18 degrees any way, which is awesome. And also, obviously, they are a simple push button style, so you just have to push it. You don't have to worry about pulling pins out. You don't have to worry about scratching your paint or scuffing anything or any of that. Also, they are rust-free. The body is aluminum and stainless. The threaded studs are stainless, the nuts and washers are stainless, and the locking rings for the bodies that go to the bottom of the hood are aluminum. So you don't have to worry about any rust. I did receive a comment on my last video from a subscriber who was talking about corrosion between the aluminum and the stainless. Yes, galvanic corrosion can happen between two dissimilar metals, and I'm not going to get into all of it, but the way these latches are designed, there are no moving parts that are aluminum that are in contact with stainless steel. So they're not going to corrode. And the ones that I got, they're Cerakoted, so that's even more protection. But I want to make it clear that the Quik-Latches are not going to corrode. You don't have to worry about galvanic corrosion or anything like that. If they do corrode, they are covered, but they're not going to corrode. Quik-Latch is a top-notch company, and they've done their homework on them. And I don't believe they would make latches that would corrode over a year or two and would fall apart. So corrosion is not an issue. And lastly, I have marked down excellent instructions, which I already touched on. But the instructions that I've had were amazing. Very easy to follow. You have to read them, reread them a third time, just to be sure that you know exactly what you're doing before you start drilling into your hood. But they are very clear and easy to understand. And that's coming from a guy who's installed a lot of things with a lot of really bad instructions. So moving down to the cons of the Quik-Latch. First and foremost, they are expensive. And I totally get that. I understand that. I'm not going to sit here and act like they're not expensive. Out of these three options, yes, Quik-Latch are pretty much the most expensive out there. But that being said, I want to make it clear that after installing mine, I understand why they cost more. There is a lot of moving parts inside of them. As I said, they're quality, they're built well, so they're not going to corrode and they're not going to break. If they do, you're covered. But they are more complicated than some of the other designs out there, and they are higher quality. So yes, they do cost more, but you are getting quality. So I don't feel that Quik-Latch is being unfair in their pricing. And I want to make that very clear. If I think a company is being unfair in their pricing, I will be the first one to call them out. ISC, for example, I think their coilover covers are ridiculous. So I said they are way too expensive and I made my own. There are some other companies out there, and I'm not really going to get into that right now. But if I just want to make it clear, if I feel a company is being unfair with their pricing, I will definitely call them out, and I'll let you guys know that I think their pricing is jacked up. So that being said, they are expensive. They typically range from about $116 to $135 for the standard QL38 hood pins, which are what I have. The Cerakoted are a little bit more, and the locking style are more, which is to be expected. If you have any design, the locking style is always more. Aerocatch does the same thing, so it's not Quik-Latch just trying to screw you. The QL50s, I don't have pricing in front of me, but those do cost more. They are bigger, they are more heavy duty, so they do cost more. Sorry. But actually, that is the only con that I have listed for Quik-Latch, and I sincerely tried to come up with more cons and I just can't think of any. So if you guys think of any more cons for Quik-Latches, please post it in the comments down below. I'm very interested to see what you guys have to say. I try to be as open and unbiased as I can be, but who knows, maybe I am biased and maybe I'm jaded. It's very possible. But I honestly could not think of any more cons to Quik-Latches. And the same goes for pros. If you think of pros to Aerocatch or the slide pin style of hood pins that I did not mention, please also post that in the comments down below. And as I said, this isn't a Quik-Latch commercial, so I want to be honest. I want you guys to have the information so that you can make an informed decision when it comes to buying your own hood pins. But as far as the Quik-Latches go, they are just so versatile. They could be mounted in so many different orientations, and they have so many options out there. It's kind of crazy to me. I just think they really are a cut above the rest. And no, I'm not getting paid to say that. I'm not getting any other kickbacks. So I truly believe Quik-Latches are the best, and that's what I wanted for my car. If you know me, if you followed the channel for a while, you know that I am very picky about my car and I research everything in depth. As I said, I've been looking into hood pins for years. So ultimately, I want what's best for my car. I will gladly turn down a company if I don't like their product. But I am very happy with Quik-Latches. I feel that they fit my personality the best. I feel they were the best for my car, and I'm very happy to have them on my car. So I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say about Quik-Latches, about other hood pins that are out there. What do you guys run? I want to hear. What are you guys looking into running? I want to hear it. And this is going to be a two-way conversation in the comments down below. So I'm very excited to see what you guys have to hear, and I'll do my best to reply to every comment I get. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching. I know this was a longer video and there was a lot of talking in it, and that's not for everybody, but for some of you guys, you do enjoy that. And for those guys, that's what this video is for. So I just wanted to clear the air exactly why I got Quik-Latches. I felt I owed it to you guys. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.